vamos a terminar. Okay. Bueno, so everybody crossed the road. The last one was Rafael, the gypsy.
Yes.
And then the last one was Robert. He starts, it says in the paragraph starts, he rode up to the pack horse because he had his horse, and then there was another horse with the luggage, let's say.
Yeah, he wanted the other horse to be by one side to protect him, no?
Exactly. Gabriela, have you found the paragraph?
No, what's the beginning?
He rode up
ahead.
to the pack horse.
Ah, yes, it's here. I couldn't hear.
So,
Yes.
well, he wanted to cross with the horses, but it says in the next paragraph, Robert Jordan rode 30 yards further up the road. Beyond that, the bank was too steep. The gun was firing now with the rocket wish and the cracking dirt spouting boom. Come on, you big gray fascist bastard! Because now they have spotted them and they are firing.
Yes.
At them, in this case, at him, no? Well, then he was out in the open over the road that was so hard under the hooves. He felt the pound of it come up all the way to his shoulders, his neck and his teeth onto the smooth of the slope, the hooves finding it, cutting it, pounding it, reaching, throwing, going, and he looked down across the slope to where the bridge showed now at a new angle he had never seen. It crossed in profile now without foreshortening, and in the center was the broken place, and behind it on the road was the little tank. No? So, then in another paragraph, the next one, he saw them all ahead in the edge of the timber watching him, and he said, "Arre caballo, go on horse," and felt this big horse's chest surging with the steepening of the slope, and saw the gray neck stretching and the gray ears ahead, and he reached and patted the wet gray neck, and he looked back at the bridge and saw the bright flash from the heavy, squat, mud-colored tank there on the road, and then he did not hear any wish, but only a banging, acrid-smelling clang, like a boiler being ripped apart, and he was under the gray horse. And the gray horse was kicking, and he was trying to pull out from under the weight. So they shot the horse, no? He could move all right, but he could move toward the right, but his left leg stayed perfectly flat under the horse as he moved to the right. It was as though there was a new joint in it, not the hip joint, but another one that went sideways like a hinge. Obviously, he had his leg broken.
Yes.
Then he knew what it was all right, and just then the gray horse kneed himself up, and Robert Jordan's right leg, that had kicked the stirrup loose just as it should, slipped clear over the saddle and came down beside him, and he felt with his two hands of this thigh bone where the left lay flat against the ground, and his hands both felt the sharp bone and where it pressed against the skin. The gray horse was standing almost over him, and he could see his ribs heaving. The grass was green where he sat, and there were meadow flowers in it. Again, no, you see nature.
Nature.
Nature, yes.
And he looked down the slope across the road and the bridge and the gorge and the road and saw the tank and waited for the next flash. It came almost at once, with again no wish, and in the burst of it, with the smell of the high explosive, the dirt clods scattering and the steel wearing off, he saw the big gray horse sit quietly down beside him as though it were a horse in a circus. And then, looking at the horse sitting there, he heard the sound the horse was making. Then Primitivo and Agustin had him under the armpits and were dragging him up the last of the slope. And the new joint in his leg let it swing any way the ground swung it. Once a shell whished close over them, and they dropped him and fell flat. But the dirt scattered over them, and the metal sang off, and they picked him up again. And then they had him up to the shelter of the long draw in the timber where the horses were, and Maria, Pilar, and Pablo were standing over him. Maria was kneeling by him and saying, Roberto, what hast thou? He said, sweating heavily, the left leg is broken, guapa. We will bind it up, Pilar said. Thou canst ride that. She pointed to one of the horses that was packed. Cut off the load. Robert Jordan saw Pablo shake his head, and he nodded at him. Get along, he said. Then he said, listen, Pablo, come here. The sweat-streaked, bristly face bent down by him, and Robert Jordan smelled the full smell of Pablo. Let us speak, he said to Pilar and Maria. I have to speak to Pablo. Does it hurt much? Pablo asked. He was bending close over to Robert Jordan. No, I think the nerve is crushed. Listen, get along. I am mugged, see? I will talk to the girl for a moment. When I say to take her, take her. She will want to stay. I will only speak to her for a moment. Clearly, there is not much time. I think you would do better in the Republic, Robert Jordan said. Nay, I am for Gredos. Use thy head. Talk to her now. I am sorry thou hast this English. Since I have it, let us not speak of it, but use thy head. Thou hast much head, use it. Why would I not? Talk now fast, English, there is no time. So, of course, he's telling Pablo that they should leave and abandon him, no? So, slit the trouser, will thee, he said to Pilar. Maria crouched by him and did not speak. The sun was on her hair and her face was twisted as a child's contours before it cries, but she was not crying. Pilar took her knife and slit his trouser leg down below the left-hand pocket. Robert Jordan spread the cloth with his hands and looked at the stretch of his thigh. 10 inches below the hip joint, there was a pointed purple swelling like a sharp-peaked little tent, and as he touched it with his fingers, he could feel the snapped-off thigh bone tight against his skin. His leg was lying at an odd angle. He looked up at Pilar. Her face had the same expression as Maria's. Anda, he said to her, go. Guapa, he said to Maria, listen, we will not be going to Madrid. Then she started to cry. No, Guapa, don't. Listen, we will not go to Madrid now, but I go always with thee wherever thou goest. Understand? She said nothing and pushed her head against his cheek with her arms around him. Listen to this well, Rabbit. He knew there was a great hurry and he was sweating very much, but this had to be said and understood. Thou will go now, Rabbit, but I go with thee. As long as there is one of us, there is both of us. Do you understand? Nay, I stay with thee. Nay, Rabbit, what I do now, I do alone. I could not do it well with thee. If thou goest, then I go too. Do you not see how it is? Whichever one there is both. I will stay with thee. Nay, Rabbit, listen, that people cannot do together. Each one must do it alone. But if thou goest, then I go with thee. It is in that way that I go too. Thou will go now, I know, for thou art good and kind. Thou will go now for us both. But it is easier if I stay with thee. It is better for me. Yes, therefore go for a favor. Do it for me, since it is what thou canst do. But you don't understand, Roberto. What about me? It is worse for me to go. Surely, it is harder for thee, but I am thee also now. She said nothing. He looked at her, and he was sweating heavily, and he spoke now, trying harder to do something than he had ever tried in all his life. Now you will go for us both. You must not be selfish, Rabbit. You must do your duty now. You are me now. Surely you must feel it, Rabbit. Rabbit, listen, he said. Truly thus I go too. I swear it to thee. She said nothing. Now you see it. Now I see it is clear. Now thou will go. Good. Now you are going. Now you have said you will go. She had said nothing. Now I thank thee for it. Now you are going well and fast and far, and we both go in thee. Now put thy hand here. Now put thy head down. Nay, put it down. That is right. Now I put my hand there. Good. Thou art so good. Now do not think more. Now art thou doing what thou should. Now thou art obeying. Now, not me, but us both. The me in thee. Now you go for us both. Truly, we both go in thee now. This I have promised thee. Thou art very good to go and very kind. Well, of course, they take Maria, Pablo, and he says, we will go to Madrid another time, Rabbi, truly. Now stand up and go, and we both go. Stand up, see? No, she said, and held him tight around the neck. He spoke now still calmly and reasonable, but with great authority. Stand up. Thou art me too now. Thou art all there will be of me. Stand up. She stood up slowly, crying with her head down. Then she dropped quickly beside him and then stood up again, slowly and tiredly, as he said, stand up, guapa. Pilar was holding her by the arm and she was standing there. Vámonos, Pilar said. Does lack anything English? No. There is no goodbye, guapa, because we are not apart. That it should be good in the Gredos. Go now. Go good. Nay. Do not turn around. Put thy foot in. Yes, thy foot in. Help her up. Get her in the saddle. Swing up now. He turned his head, sweating, and looked down the slope. Then back toward where the girl was in the saddle with Pilar by her and Pablo just behind. Now go, he said, go. She started to look around. Don't look around. Go. And Pablo hit the horse across the crupper with the hobbling strap, and it looked as though Maria tried to slip from the saddle. But Pilar and Pablo were riding close up against her, and Pilar was holding her, and the three horses were going up the draw. Roberto, let me stay, let me stay. I am with thee.